Hello, my name is Andrei Edell, aka Huge Lung, and with Flowerpatch, I think one of the main problems has been just like a lack of transparency, which I feel terrible about because really that's a core part of my philosophy and it always has been. As a kid, I was always very excited about open source and free open collaboration, totally autonomous, transparent organizations where you can understand everything that's going on. So I decided that it's time to start up this kind of vlog series where basically I am committing to 5 days a week, producing a video every single day showing what it is that we're working on, what it is the thoughts are behind Flowerpatch, and maybe giving some insight into where the project's heading from here, as well as showing a little bit of the technology involved and letting people experience what it's like to build a software startup in cryptocurrency with weed and as a game that is actually fun to play. Honestly, it's a crazy project. I'm not sure if it's advisable for anybody to undertake something quite so insane. But maybe you'll enjoy coming with me on the journey. So, real quick, here's my workstation. This is, it's a combination of, a whole bunch of writings, and well, there's a little mantra meditation thing, and I have to take care of some healthcare stuff. Got my laptop set up. This is my music setup. It's a whole bunch of synthesizers and looping equipment to be able to make music quite easily and quickly. Yeah, I sleep just over here, you know. Very, very simple, very humble, living in a one-bedroom little studio apartment. This is pretty much my world, especially now during the quarantine that's going on. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm paying attention to for most of the time. Yeah, so here it is. This is where the action happens. This is my home. We don't have any fancy office, or we don't have money for basically anything. So I will cut it here and show you some more stuff of what I'm working on today, which has to do with the sorting, filtering features of Flowerpatch, allowing you to more easily find the cards that you're looking for, allowing you to browse through all the flowers in existence, the collections that people have built up, and being able to plant things more easily and quickly in the game. All right. Yeah, cameras. All right. So the first stage, of course, in any software task is you sit down and you think about like what are the requirements and what is the actual design going to be. Usually I just like to sketch this out in kind of very rough terms. I don't go crazy like full on UI designing everything to the last detail, because a lot of the time when you're just writing the code, you realize that some things might be much easier to write a particular way, and then you kind of have to change the design. So I just keep it kind of loose and free form, and I do a lot of my kind of like rapid prototyping directly in code. Sorting and filtering. The core idea here is that you have to be able to sort flowers based on a particular criteria, like how recently they are born or the rarity. And you also probably want to filter flowers down. For example, flowers that are planted in the game, or flowers of a particular rarity, or potentially even more specific feature parts of flowers. So let me start off by writing that down. Yeah, I will do a rough outline here, and then I'll show you guys what I've come up with. But basically, I'm going to write down the requirements, what I think people want to see on the given pages that we have, and then I'm going to just very briefly sketch out a small diagram. Boom. So there it is. Here, let's take a look at this. Very simply, we're going to have a bunch of little drop downs on top of flower collection screens. So I'm talking about either the account page or the Explorer page, or even the flower picker for when you're planting a flower in game. Pretty straightforward. You'll have drop downs like a rarity filter, so you can pick uncommons. You'll have a drop down for land type, so you can pick uncommons that are sand. A little checkbox to signify whether you want to filter planted flowers or not planted flowers. And then finally a sort ordering. And the sort ordering can be one of these things like down here. So it could be oldest first, newest first, highest rarity, lowest rarity, growth speed, harvest size. Pretty simple, straightforward. And we should be able to reuse some of our existing drop downs components that we've built previously for the market to make this easier and faster. Though, you know, now that I'm looking at this, and this is why we do wireframes, it might be nice to, instead of having just a planted checkbox, you might want to kind of have a three-way state. So you might want to see flowers that are planted, or you might want to see flowers that are not planted, or you might want to see a mix of both, planted and not planted. So that might end up becoming a drop-down as well. Yeah, minor detail. And for the flower picker in the game, this is going to be quite similar, except that it'll probably also automatically pre-fill. So, for example, you'll want to automatically sort by the land type that you're trying to plant on, and then you probably want to automatically exclude flowers that already have been planted. But then from there, the player might still want to have controls over figuring out which rarity they're looking for and which sort order they're looking for, because they might, you know, have a really big collection, so they want to see the oldest flowers first, or something along those lines. Anyway, yeah, coming along well. I will catch you in the next segment about the implementation. We'll be starting with the backend service that's capable of taking this combination of attributes, you know, unusual flower that's a sand type that's been planted in the game, ordered by growth speed. Yeah, wouldn't that be cool, right? And so we'll make an API that can take all those things and return to you exactly the list of flowers that you want, sorted in the correct way, from where the UI can easily render it.
Oh my god, the rat took something else.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so it's like 2:30 a.m. here, but I've got a first version here that's got a good stopping point. Basically, I've implemented the outline of the backend service, and I've written a test that helps me query against it and try it out. So let's jump back in here and see what it's shaping up like. So this is the more or less completed protobuf here on the left that I came up with. So again, protobuf is a system that allows you to define services, APIs, and structured data in a way that can then be sent across the network in an efficient way and used in a variety of programming languages. Yeah, it's made by Google. It's really fantastic, and we use it for a lot of our backend infrastructure. So yeah, let me start at the top of this file. This is the definition of the service here. So we have the Flower DB service. This is the database for being able to query flower information. It has basic stuff like just being able to get a flower. So rather than going to Ethereum, you can just receive a flower directly from this API, which will either use its own database, in-memory cache, or go to Ethereum and ask Ethereum. You can get account stats, which is just like a basic thing that gives you some info about an account, like how many of different rarities of stuff they have. And then we have this new Find Flower API, which receives a flower query, which is defined below, and returns a list of integers. These integers are flower IDs. Okay. So here is the flower query object. Starting at the bottom, really these are the things that you're passing in. You're passing in your account that you're searching for. You're passing in a set of filters, which might be rarity, land type, the stuff that we went over in the diagrams at the beginning, and order by, which is the sorting order of the results. So I've written all this out, and this has all the different types and stuff here included. So you can see there's this filters message, which has the filters that we support, which are currently rarity, land affinity, and whether it's plant or not. And then we have the order by message, which shows what you're trying to sort by and whether you're sorting ascending or descending. And the rest of the stuff up here is just like the particular types that we have. So land affinity might be any, because you're searching for any, or you might have soil, sand, lava, whatever. Okay, cool. So I've implemented this protobuf. I've run it through their compiler, which produces Go and JavaScript code that can then use this directly. From there, I've implemented this little API, which is part of our Flower database service. So remember, like up here we defined find flower, flower query, repeated int. Over here I'm doing the same thing. It takes a flower query, right? And it returns a repeated int. But this is some stuff like it can return errors, and there's this concept in Go called context, which is dealing with like timeouts and this kind of nonsense. Okay, so very briefly, you kind of see what this is doing. If we don't have an account, it just bails out for now because we don't want to be querying the entire database. Just kind of simplify things down for now. Then I can get all of the flowers for a particular account from our database using our data store client, which is a custom little wrapper library that helps us access our database. But if we want to switch databases, we can do that by re-implementing this little wrapper layer. From there, we're just iterating over the flowers that we receive until we find either an error or we hit the end. And then it's quite simple. We say like, hey, if the rarity is not what we want, then skip it. If the land is not what we want, then skip it. Add those things to the list, the ones that didn't get skipped, and then finally return the results. And to assist with testing this, I've implemented a little Go test function. So you see that this is called findflower.go. This one's called findflower_test. This is the way that Go automatically kind of handles the built-in testing framework. And so I'm just calling this findFlower function. I'm giving it a query. The query is for my account. I'm asking for some filters, which includes rarity. So I'm looking for unusual flowers that are sand type and planted. Planted is not implemented yet. I just didn't have enough time, but we'll get there tomorrow. Then order by, we can see is also not really implemented, but we'll be able to query by age. So like when the flower was created, and then we can ask for a descending order. Okay, pretty straightforward. Now, that's like pretty much the whole thing right here. Several hours later, we have one screen full of text. But you know, we can verify to see how this works in a fun and easy way. I'll do this, and then I'm just gonna tell Go to run the tests for the API. So here it is. It ran the tests and it found, well, so yeah, it, you know, connected to our database. It set up gRPC. It did like some you know, whatever stock stuff, and then finally it found this list of IDs. And so we can kind of like pretty easily verify here what these IDs actually mean. So here's my you know, web browser, Flowerpatch. Let's take a random one of these IDs and push it in here, and bam, that is a unusual card with a sand type. Or we can, you know, grab this one here. This is again an unusual card that's sand type. Yeah, so I mean, I'll write some more like comprehensive tests that do this automatically, but visually we can verify that the API is already working. And realistically, this would be quite easy to hook up now to any kind of front end, and we can already immediately start filtering our collections by either the rarity or the land type. Yeah, that's it. So I will pick this up tomorrow. Thank you so much for checking out the first episode of the Flowerpatch development vlog. You know, I'll see how much you know, time and effort practically how this takes. I want to do 5 days a week, but if it ends up being just like way too much effort, then I'll just do 3 days a week, because definitely there's a fair bit of work just to like edit the videos down and create them. But thank you so much for checking out this first little piece, and you know, hit subscribe or whatever if you care, if you want to learn more about development, Ethereum development, and how I particularly like to do things, my weird, you know, crazy development environment, and everything else that I've managed to pick up over the last I don't know, decade or so that I've been working in the professional computer science industry. Yeah, thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace be with you. Take care.